Here we have a set math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. 5x square negative 40px positive 5y square positive 70py equals to 325p square. In the xy plane, the graph of the given equation is a circle where p is a constant. The center of the circle is negative 8, 14. If a square is inscribed in the circle, what is the area of the square? First, let me draw a circle in which a square is inscribed. Here I have drawn a circle in which a square is inscribed, and here we have the center of the circle, that is negative 8, 14. Now let me draw the diameter of the circle. Let me draw a diameter. Okay, here I have drawn a diameter for the circle. Actually, the diameter I have drawn over here represents the diagonal of the square. When I know the length of the diagonal of a square, we can use the formula d square over 2 to get the area of the square. This is the formula we have to get the area of a square when we know the length of the diagonal. Actually, this lowercase d represents the length of the diagonal we have over here. Okay, now my aim is to get the diameter of the circle. Once I get the diameter of the circle, that can be considered as the length of the diagonal. Then we can plug in that value for d over here and get the area of the square. Okay, how do you have to get the diameter of the circle? Let's consider the given equation for circle over here. It's almost in general form. Now let me consider the equation of a circle in general form, that is x square positive y square positive 2gx positive 2fy positive c equals to 0. This is the equation of a circle in general form. When we have the equation of a circle in this form, there is a formula to get the center of the circle. The center of the circle is negative g comma negative f, and there is a formula to get the radius of the circle, that is square root of g square positive f square negative c. We can get the values of g and f from the coefficients of x and y respectively, and we can get the value of c from the constant term. Now what we have to do is we have to get the given equation exactly in this form, so that we'll be able to get the values of g, f and c. Then we can get the radius of the circle. Once we get the radius of the circle, it can be multiplied by 2 to get the diameter of the circle. Then that is the length of the diagonal of the square. Okay, now let me take the given equation and write it exactly in this form. Okay, here we can rearrange the terms on the left side. That is, first we can write 5x square. Then we can write y square term, that is positive 5y square. We can write the x term negative 40px, then y term positive 70py. And we have to make the right side 0. For that, we have to subtract 325p square from both sides of the equation. Then we have negative 325p square on the left side over here, and the right side 0. Now, when I consider the equation over here, the coefficient of x square is 1, the coefficient of y square is also 1. But here, the coefficients of both x square and y square are 5. So we have to make these coefficients as 1. For that, we have to divide each term of this equation by 5. Okay, now let me do it. Divided by 5, divided by 5, here divided by 5, divided by 5, divided by 5, and the right side 0 is also divided by 5. Okay, here this 5 will cancel out. Here the same, here we get x square positive y square negative. When I divide this 40 by 5, I am getting 8, that is 8px. And when I divide this 70 by 5, I am getting 14, that is a positive 14py. Negative, when I divide this 325 by 5, I am getting a 65, that is 65p square, and the right side 0 divided by 5 is 0. Now we have the given equation of circle exactly in this form. Okay, now let's consider the coefficient of x over here, that is negative 8p. Here the coefficient of x is 2g. At the place of 2g, we have negative 8p, then we have 2g equals to negative 8p. And at the place of 2f, that is coefficient of y, we have 14p. Then we have 2f equals to 14p. And at the place of c, we have negative 65p square. Then we have c equals to negative 65p square. Okay, here let me divide both sides of this equation by 2 to solve for g. This 2 will cancel out. I am getting g equals to 8 over 2 is 4. That is negative 4p we have on the right side. Let me divide both sides of this equation by 2 to solve for f. Then I am getting f equals to 7p. Okay, now let's consider the center of the circle we have over here, negative 8, 14. And here we have the formula for center, that is negative g, negative f. So then we can write negative g, negative f equals to negative 8, 14. Okay, here 2 points are equal. Whenever 2 points are equal, we can equate the x coordinates and also the y coordinates. When I equate the x coordinates, I am getting negative g equals to negative 8. And when I equate the y coordinates, I am getting negative f equals to 14. Now to get the value of g, we have to multiply both sides of this equation by negative 1 to get of the negative sign that we have in front of g. Okay, when I multiply this one by negative 1, I am getting g. When I multiply this negative 8 by negative 1, I am getting positive 8. Do the same thing over here. Let's multiply both sides by negative 1. Then I'm getting f on the left side. When I multiply this 14 by negative 1, I'm getting a negative 14. Okay, here I got the values of g and f. I can plug in these values over here. But still we need the value of c to get the radius. How do you have to get the value of c? Here already we got the value of c, but it contains an unknown p. Okay, now once we get the value of the unknown p, we can plug in over here and get the value of c. Okay, here we know the value of g, that is 8. We can plug in this value 8 for g over here and get the value of p. Okay, now let me do it. That is 8 equals to negative 4p. Let me divide both sides by negative 4. Then this negative 4 will cancel out. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. On the right side we have p. Here I got the value of p, that is negative 2. We can plug in this value negative 2 for p over here. Then I'm getting c equals to negative 65 times negative 2 the whole square. C equals to negative 65 times, the evaluation of this one is 4. C equals to negative 65 times 4 is negative 260. Okay, here we have the values of G, F and C. Now we can plug in the values over here and get the radius of the circle. Okay, now let me erase the stuff and continue the problem. Let's plug in the values of G, F and C over here in this formula to get the radius. That is the radius of the circle equals to square root of 8 square. Positive negative 14 the whole square, negative the value of c is negative 260. Okay, r equals to square root of the value of 8 square is 64 and the value of negative 14 the whole square is 196. Negative times negative is positive 260. Okay, r equals to square root of, when I add all these three values, I am getting 520. Okay, here I got the value of r, that is 520. Now let's find the diameter of the circle. That is the diameter of the circle is equal to 2 times the radius. Then we get d equals to 2 times square root of 520. Okay, here I got the diameter of the circle. So the diameter of the circle is the length of the diagonal of the square. Okay, now let's get the area of the square. Okay, let me write the stuff over here. Area of square equals to, the formula is d square divided by 2. That is the diagonal, the length of the diagonal has to be squared and it has to be divided by 2. Now we got the length of the diagonal of the square, that is 2 times square root of 520. Let me plug in over here. 2 times square root of 520, the whole square divided by 2. Okay, here two values are multiplied and there is a common exponent. Now we can take this exponent separately for each value and multiply the results. Okay, when I take this exponent 2 for this 2, I am getting 4. And when I take this exponent 2 for the square root, and this square root and square will cancel out, I am getting 520. In denominator, we have 2. Here 2 goes into 2 1 times and 2 goes into 4 2 times. Okay, here 2 times of 520 is 1040. Therefore, the area of the square is 1040 square units.